Hey, I have to do a major booth redo because I sold a dresser that was here and I really loved how it looked. I had my vignettes on it and I was very happy with it. This is going to be one of my first attempts at editing a video, so I've already started going ahead and getting ready to do what I'm planning on doing. So I'm alone right now, but I can move most of these things by myself once I empty them. Always empty the stuff. Do not overdo. Don't pull your back. Don't hurt yourself. Furniture sliders, anything like that that helps you. You can see this is going to be an easy move for me because it does have wheels. So I will be using that to my benefit to make sure I get that done. So I won't touch this wall, but I'm going to do some things there and then play with these things. And I'm going to, oops, I'm trying not to turn too fast. But I'm going to try my first editing today. We're going to try to splice some things together. So. And then up here, I'm going to be moving some things around. I will be pulling this dresser into that other booth and working that and redoing some of the things in this booth as well. So hopefully I got some editing skills. I can figure that out because if you watch my YouTube videos, you know that I am just a walk and talk and just send it out there and no editing. So this will be a first. So again, a major booth redo. Never overdo what you cannot do by yourself. Make it easy for yourself. Unload. I have a place here to stack these, but if the shop that you're in or if you have your own, we do have folding tables, larger ones that we always tell our vendors, you're more than welcome to borrow them so you can put them out. Even when we're open, you can put them so they're not blocking the aisles and load up the stuff onto those so you're not risking injury, and also it makes it a heck of a lot easier if you're not just, moving things about without having them on a surface that is easy to access. And plus, customers walking by might still see the things on the tables and shop those while you work in your booth, since they won't be able to shop if you're working in your booth, but they can still shop all the things you have out there. So let's get cracking. All right, so I've already moved that shelf out. I've cleared it off. Now I'm going to work on this one. I did go and get myself a table, so again, this is going to be a fun practice for me on editing skills. So I'm going to empty this one off. I'll see if I can figure out how they speed it up, or I can just do the speed now. So I'll get this all empty. This is also a great opportunity when you do moves like this in your booth. I've already gotten my broom and the sweeping pan, because we do vacuum. We do have a vacuum here for all of our vendors' uses. It's a pretty good one too. It's not like when I worked at I remember working retail in the mall, the vacuums that we had in those stores. Whew, they did not suck, which is not a good thing for a vacuum. But it's a good time when you're emptying off to get your cleaning supplies and make sure you're cleaning your space as well. Don't just do it as I'm moving things around, but clean. People love to come in here and they do notice how clean the shop usually is. I mean, we do, of course, in the winter and that with the salt coming in, but we do make a concerted effort to, I'm going to go now and get my dusting pan. We use the beeswax, the one that I think is made Tennessee. Fantastic product. Made in USA. We love it. They've been around since 1973, I think, and we do sell that here, but I just love the smell of it, and it doesn't build up like Pledge, so it's a really nice cleaner for your shelving, and you can also use it on glass. So if you're spraying a surface like that has a mirror that has a wood frame, and you get the spray on there, you can just wipe it off of there as well. So let me pause now and continue working. I'm trying to get as much of this done before my husband gets in, because I really like to have these surprises for him. He wants to move everything for me, which I appreciate. I do have a bad back and legs, but a lot of the stuff I still can do myself. But furniture sliders are your friend, or if you have the little wheel ones that you can get in. I started moving this, even without the stuff on it, it is still heavy. And I can take off these shelves. They are not in there permanently, but the furniture sliders should just give me enough of a ability to push this out of the way. So always work smart, not harder. So get yourself furniture sliders or rollers if you don't have them already and you do have furniture in your space. Now, I can't do much on this wall because this puppy is actually screwed into the wall. So it's not for sale, so we don't need to really move it. But again, work smart. Don't hurt yourself. So as you can see, I've moved my two dressers. So one of the things when you're doing your booth that I always I've been doing this since, I've had booths since 1999, and then we've owned the shop since 2013, is you want to start with what we call the skeleton of it. You want to get your big pieces in first, your furniture layout, and then your shelving, and then figure out how to fit all the smalls in. But you want to get the basic layout of what you're looking to get. I still have a little bit of fixing up to do over here, pulling some things. The other thing you need to be cognizant of, depending on where you're renting at or where your shop is, you don't block your outlets, and you make sure the furniture is not pushing up against the cords in any way. You don't want to do that, and that's pushing it's a little tighter than I want. So yeah, I'm going to have a gap between the wall and this dresser. So that also means I'm going to have to be very careful to make sure that anything on here that's not straight. That drives me crazy. That anything that goes on here is not going to get pushed back there. Okay, I think that's pretty straight. And then of course we do use, can't think of the word right now, the little pieces of wood you put underneath, shimmies. We do use the shims. Yeah, this is a shimmy. We do use the shims underneath them to keep them level, because the floor here is not level. It's just a concrete floor, but we do encourage, and we have many of our vendors have these nice little different rugs in their booth. So 6 o'clock, that chime is off. It's going to be 4 hours behind on that. So yeah, so I'm still going to do that. I want to probably move that tiny shelf, possibly that one, my green shelf, over to where this one came from. And I'm not going to go as high as I had done earlier, because that's the other thing too. You don't want too much height in the front of your space. You want it, especially like, because we made sure that our booths were wider than deeper, because it's easier for people to see and they can go and check it out and they don't feel trapped. So I will be making sure when I do that, it's not going to be so high, because I want them to see the whole booth and be encouraged to go in and not feel like they're not going to get back out if somebody comes in on one of the sides. I keep doing that. Okay, I am now at I didn't like where the dresser was before, so I kind of like it to the left, but I'm now at the point where that dresser has to go. We bought a bunch of dressers from one lady, so this one is still left from it. Beautiful old dresser. I don't know why it's still here. It's 135 and 20% off. This one is 60. It's maple, but I'm going to mark it down because I need it gone, because I'm not liking the way this looks. I'm trying to figure out if I have another shelf that would look better there. So I'm going to look at what else I have, because I'm not liking this. I mean, I can still pull out those smaller pieces in that. I was able to fit the corner shelf that is now for sale. We've had this shelf for a long time, but now it's time to sell it because it wasn't fitting for a bit and it's been getting moved around too much, and I'd rather find a home than keep moving and risk it breaking. So I'm gonna go look, see what else I have that I might be able to swap out with this, and then maybe I won't be disliking this look so much, but I do like that dresser there. So I still have a lot to go, and like I said, it's getting the skeletons of this before I start fleshing out and putting all the smalls and the groupings of stuff. So we'll keep this going, and hopefully I'm able to edit correctly. Well, it's done for now. I'm not happy with it because I kind of had to end up rushing, because it is after 9 o'clock. The time is correct, and I started this like pretty much right after I closed it, like probably a little bit later, so around 5:30. So I ended up spending a lot more time on the other booth, which is still not done either. I have to finish folding the shirts and stuff, and I'm very happy with the basics of it. I still, like I said, have to come through, straighten out. Thank goodness my husband came in because he was able to help me. We just threw together a quick little thing here in the center. As you can see, at least it's organized, it's clean. You can walk through it. You can see everything easily. That's the name of the game. There's a couple things I'd like to tweak a little bit more, but overall I am pretty happy with how it came out. I'm not thrilled with having my tote here and this here. We do have a table that will probably come back down here. It's a nice old potting table with wheels that is not for sale, but it'll be back here again until I get more furniture. We got furniture for sale, which is always a wonderful thing, but you've got to plan on when those pieces sell, what are you going to put everything back on? That's like when I tell my vendors, don't price a bookshelf for sale unless you have another bookshelf to replace it. And I don't mean like generic little ones that you get like Home Depot and Lowe's, the white ones. We actually use those in the back and in the front for our vendors that we rent just a bookcase to, because it's a nice, clean, crisp look and it fits that. But in the booths, I want a nice original vintage feel to it. I want, you know, these funky shelves that clearly, like this one, was built for whatever need in somebody's house, because you can tell by these little cutouts. It had doors on it at one point, so this was somebody's jelly cabinet or whatever, and it was custom made by them. It has this odd color paint on it, like the original paint on it, and just shelves that, you know, you're not going to find again. I tell them, don't price it unless you have something to replace it with, because when this sells, you've got all these littles. Where are they going to go? You know, what are you going to do with them? And you really don't want to shelve up the walls. I did get, this is really cool. This is part of an enamel top table. This is the insert, and I got this. It was only like $5. I'm not selling that. Again, because I cannot replace it easily, and it just, the look of it's lovely. I actually use this garland here to cover up the back of the peg hook, so I usually don't go for floofy garlands a lot too often. I do have it up around this booth just because it takes the wall down a little bit, but I don't want to sell that because you can see I have it up there nicely, and like I said, I will come through and tweak this and make it more organized. I'm going to pick up the camera and we're going to walk to the other booth. I was hoping my husband was going to move that cart, but he didn't. So we can see, I did get, it's important to have your lights lit if you're able to, and we're going to go, not too bad. We got everything fitting, and I just want to show you, and like I said, I just have to finish folding these shelves. Now this one had the one dresser in it because I sold the other one. I'm just going to turn this fan on so we can actually hear. I forgot to get this folding table out of here. There's a lot of work that still needs to be done, but I want to fold all the t-shirts. So the black shelf came up here, and I put all my white shirts on it. I have the individual shirts hanging here, and then you can find the different sizes here. They're going to all be folded neatly like that. I just didn't have the time to do that. We moved these berries over that were here because I did not like that. And this is actually really cool. This is part of an old lamp that was broken, and I cannot tell you how we've moved with this thing so many times all over the place. It is a wonderful display stand. I've had people wanting, we've used it as a plant stand, we use it for things like this, and this, I did not go big in the center like I said I wouldn't. I actually turned it this way. My husband was surprised that it was not facing the other way. Not quite sure what we can see on this camera from that angle. Okay, let's see. So the reason why I did what I did with that is when you walk up from here, which a lot of people do, I can see the stuff in there. Now, if it was facing forward, the only people who are going to see what's in this shelf are the ones that are coming from that direction. They would see it here. Most people, if they're walking up from that way, would not see it, and majority of people tend to go right. So they're going to be walking up and coming up to here. So I want this stuff shown on this side. I want an open shelf that they can see these things. I also wanted it that my walking space to get into this booth. I'm going to take this off of the holder. Apologize for my hand being in the view here. Oh goodness, sorry about that. I also wanted wide enough space that people can come in. We do have a lot of people with strollers, wheelchairs, and you should be able to fit and go through this booth. Even if you can only go in and out on one side, there's still room to back it up. Stroller, walker, you can still come through here. I probably should clean up those signs, but yeah, so I will be organizing those. And then this is our little bit of, we got this clothing rack, the compartments for it, the rack, and the brackets is Lowe's. I liked, and then I put these, I found crates that measured to basically almost the exact size, because these brackets that we got, you can see you can screw in these pieces. So we made shelving above it to give it more of a rustic look instead of a traditional clothing rack. I didn't want a traditional clothing rack. I will be cleaning up those t-shirts because we have the black t-shirts, and I've got one more black t-shirt that's going to fit in there. And I made like a cozy corner. I know this, every time I get things the way I like it, like this little wicker chair, it's going to end up selling fast. So I'm not 100% happy with everything in here either. You can see I have to straighten up all our towels and stuff. I did a quick rework on the top there. Things up high, you want to make sure they are larger. They're things you can see the price on, so people can just ask if they need help with it. Make sure your tags are facing, and it's important, especially on the things up high. You can see how our prices pop. I write on my tags first, And these are just cut out of scrapbook. You can buy scrapbook paper, so inexpensive, and just take a pinking shear or a fancy little scissor, hole punch, and you can either make your own thread or get strings, and that's all. But so what I do is I do the Sharpie first, the dark Sharpie, the thick Sharpie. Then I have the thin Sharpie for my information up here. And then a different color, I use blue to differentiate, because the first thing that people really look at when they walk into a space is price. And you want the prices to be visible for numerous reasons. You want people to know what to expect in your booth, as well as you want them facing out. I know it doesn't look as pretty on camera, but you also don't want them handling this stuff as much. So a lot of times people are picking up things to look for a price. That's when you get the damage, the breakage, and that. So rather than tempting them to pick things up, face your prices. If you're doing pictures of your booth, turn the tags, move your tags around, and then just make sure before you're done and you're leaving for the day that you've put your prices visible again. If you do any kind of like wholesaling, you get things in bulk, you just go to avery.com and you can use your card stock and just do like 8 up, 12 up, and you type up every single time and you just print that out like that. So, and I just want to show you what I mean. So I had this vendor, she put this shelf up here. So what I do is she has her item, her personal tag on it, but I had her do these big index card type things so that people do not need to wonder about how much is that. Can you help me get that down? If they know the price right off the bat, they'll just say, I want to buy that, and you're not breaking out the ladder and climbing up when you don't need to. So I hope I gave you some good information, and you can use this in your booths. And like I said, this is not really 100%, but I took on 2 booths in 3.5 hours and moved a lot of furniture and stuff. So I think I did pretty well. Just need some fluffing and some straightening. This is not what I would put on this shelf. I want glass, I want glass. So, and a mirrored backing. So more clear glass, color glass I want to keep on here, not so much the ceramics and stuff. And this does light up. This is this is a very nice old cabinet from a store that somebody gave us that we just absolutely love. So I just want to thank you for spending some time. We'll walk back here again and see. Now that wall space there is not mine. That belongs to Redeemable. But again, so not quite what I wanted to do. I like to take especially the Reader's Digest books, because they have the nicest covers on these little patterns. Oh goodness, they're falling apart. But they have these beautiful patterns. So I do like to use books as risers, and I do like to organize and group by styles and colors. This shelf, I would do more of the dark pieces on it, and like that white, then the white on there, like the milk glass on there. And then on this shelf here, this is a bad placement for this because it blends in there. So I try to do all white on a black shelf. So that's the other thing. You try to make sure you're making it that they can actually just walk up and see what you have. So, and if you have any comments or questions, do not hesitate to reach out to me. We appreciate all of you. And if you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe to our channel. This is not my usual content. Our usual content is daily, well, almost daily, is I put up torn shops. So I'll go through a person's booth and you buy this. You can actually shop us. It's not living vicariously saying, oh, I wish I could buy that. I'll focus on a couple of items and say, this vendor is a 20% off vendor, so 11 becomes $8.80, and I will go through and do that. And we do ship the majority of the smaller items. So again, thank you for joining me, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I'm really hoping I can do this editing thing. We will find out. This is a first for me, and I might do some more videos of this kind down the road. I do want to do a basic teaching cross stitch, because I've had a couple people ask me that, because we did sell a couple of cross stitch kits, and that's something that I used to do a lot of in the past. So another informative video I hope to come out soon. So, and yeah, I will be working on this a little bit more.